Hello friends, welcome to Defense Matrix. On this channel you will get fully information about defense and technology. See the videos about world forgotten histories on this channel. Let's view the video. Operation Gunner's Side, the raid that stopped Hitler atom bomb. The Nazi nuclear threat. How close was Hitler to the atom bomb? During World War II, while the Allies fought tooth and nail across Europe and the Pacific, a more terrifying possibility loomed behind the scenes. Nazi Germany was racing to build the most devastating weapon ever conceived, the atomic bomb. The very thought of Adolf Hitler wielding nuclear power sent shockwaves through Allied intelligence. It wasn't just about military domination anymore, it was about preventing the potential annihilation of entire cities. Germany had some of the brightest scientific minds, including Nobel Prize-winning physicists, working on nuclear fission research. The fear was real. If the Nazis succeeded first, the war could shift dramatically in their favor, or worse, they could blackmail the world into submission. This looming threat drove the Allies into a frenzy of scientific and espionage activity. But what few knew then was that one critical ingredient, a rare and mysterious substance called heavy water, was the key to the Nazi atomic effort. This was no ordinary war. This was a race against time. A battle not just of bullets and tanks, but of equations, physics, and covert operations. The Allies knew they couldn't allow Hitler to unlock the secrets of the atom, and so, Operation Gunner's Side was born. What followed would become one of the most legendary sabotage missions in modern military history. Secrets of heavy water, the mysterious substance behind Hitler's atomic ambitions. To most people, heavy water sounds like something from a science fiction movie. But during World War II, it was the centerpiece of a terrifying reality. Heavy water, or deuterium oxide, wasn't just rare, it was the gateway to nuclear energy, and Nazi scientists believed it could be the catalyst for creating a functioning atomic bomb. Unlike regular water, heavy water contains a heavier form of hydrogen, which makes it useful in nuclear reactors that can produce weapons-grade plutonium. And here's the critical twist. Only one place in all of Europe was producing it at a scale that mattered, the Vemork hydroelectric plant. Hidden in the rugged mountains of Nazi-occupied Norway, the Allies knew that as long as Germany had access to heavy water, their atomic ambitions were still alive. So the question became, how do you destroy one of the most heavily guarded and strategically vital facilities in all of Nazi territory? Bombing from the air was too risky, it might miss the target or kill innocent civilians. The only way in was the hardest way possible: send in a small, elite team of saboteurs, deep behind enemy lines, to destroy the plant from within. This mission was about more than technology. It was about bravery, stealth, and precision. A mistake wouldn't just mean failure, it could mean the Nazis getting the bomb. And that's a nightmare the world might never have recovered from. Enter Operation Gunner's Side, the Allies' most daring sabotage mission. With the stakes higher than ever, the British Special Operations Executive, SOE, and Norwegian resistance fighters crafted a bold and dangerous plan. Operation Gunner's Side, a covert mission that would go down in history as one of the most successful sabotage operations of all time. Instead of massive armies or airstrikes, the Allies chose a different weapon. A handful of brave Norwegian commandos, trained in Britain. Hardened by resistance, and fueled by the burning desire to free their homeland from Nazi control. These weren't ordinary soldiers. These were elite operatives who could navigate mountains, snowfields, and enemy patrols, surviving in the harshest winter conditions with minimal supplies, all while carrying explosives meant to cripple a Nazi nuclear facility. Operation Gunner's Side was launched in February 1943. The commandos were parachuted into the desolate, frozen Norwegian wilderness, where they had to hike for days through treacherous terrain just to reach their target. The mission required absolute silence, zero detection, and perfect execution, because any mistake would result in their deaths. And possibly give Hitler the power to destroy cities with a single bomb. What makes this mission legendary is not just the sabotage itself, but the precision with which it was executed. No civilians were harmed. No firefights broke out. The commandos slipped in like ghosts, blew up the critical components of the heavy water production system, and vanished into the snow, leaving the Nazis scrambling in confusion. Operation Gunner's Side wasn't just a mission, it was a message: technology alone doesn't win wars. Courage, strategy, and human determination do. Behind enemy lines, the frozen journey through Nazi-controlled Norway. Imagine trekking through waist-deep snow in total darkness, in temperatures that can freeze exposed skin in minutes, with nothing but skis, wool clothing, and the weight of history on your shoulders. That's what the heroes of Operation Gunner's Side faced. Their journey into Nazi-controlled Norway was not only a military mission, it was a survival story. To reach the Vemork plant, the saboteurs had to descend steep mountains, cross frozen rivers, and avoid heavily armed German patrols, all while carrying the explosives and gear necessary for the sabotage. There were no helicopters, no GPS, no drones, just old-fashioned compasses, maps, and a deep understanding of the terrain. Their survival depended on unbelievable endurance, local knowledge of the land, and the ability to stay invisible. The Nazis were everywhere, guarding roads, monitoring the skies, and expecting sabotage. Yet these men navigated the landscape with the grace of native hunters and the stealth of shadows. They slept in caves, ate dried meat, melted snow for water, and moved only at night. Every hour brought new danger. A single footprint in the wrong place could reveal their presence. A single slip on the ice could mean death or capture. And all of this, just to get to the starting point of their actual mission. What makes their journey so awe-inspiring is that it wasn't just about physical strength. It was about mental resilience. These commandos had one goal: stop the Nazis from getting the bomb. And they were willing to freeze, starve, and risk it all to succeed. Target: Vemork, inside Hitler's secret nuclear factory, hidden deep within the snowy mountains of Telemark, Norway, stood a fortress-like industrial complex that became the beating heart of Nazi Germany's nuclear dream, the Vemork hydroelectric plant. Built into the cliffs and surrounded by icy rivers and steep ridges, this imposing structure wasn't just any factory. It was the only facility in Europe capable of producing heavy water, the essential component that Hitler's scientists believed could unlock the power of the atom. To the Nazis, Vemork was a symbol of technological superiority. It was protected by mines, machine gun nests, floodlights, and a garrison of German soldiers. Reaching it was almost impossible. Destroying it? Even more so. And yet, the Allies knew, if they didn't act, this concrete giant might one day supply Hitler with a working atomic bomb. The plant ran day and night, processing water through electrolysis to isolate deuterium oxide. Every liter produced brought the Nazis closer to nuclear terror. Allied intelligence intercepted shipments, watched train movements, and tracked every barrel of heavy water leaving Vemork, and it became terrifyingly clear: the clock was ticking. Operation Gunner's Side wasn't just about sabotage, it was about science. The Allies had to pinpoint the exact location of the heavy water electrolysis chambers, avoid damaging the entire plant, and ensure they destroyed only the heart of the production process. This required detailed blueprints, insider knowledge, and pinpoint explosives, all without alerting the German forces until it was too late. Vemork was a fortress, but it was also a pressure point. And on one frozen February night, a handful of commandos would try to bring it crashing down, not with bombs from the sky, but with stealth, courage, and explosive precision from within its very walls. The sabotage unleashed, how precision, technology, bravery crippled the Nazi plan. In the dead of night on February 27, 1943, the operation began. After weeks of survival in the freezing Norwegian wilderness, the commandos finally approached the Vemork plant. Armed with plastic explosives, wire cutters, and nerves of steel, they descended into the valley, crossed an icy river, and climbed the steep cliffs leading up to the facility. It was like something out of a spy thriller, except this was real. The men navigated past spotlights and guard patrols, slipped silently through security fences, and infiltrated the building through a cable tunnel barely wide enough to crawl through. Inside, they moved like shadows, knowing that one sound, one wrong move, could bring an army of German guards down on them, but this was a mission of surgical precision. They reached the electrolysis chamber, located the heavy water cylinders, and set multiple shaped charges in exactly the right spots to destroy the production cells without demolishing the entire plant. The explosives were timed. The escape route was planned. All they could do now was hold their breath and run. Seconds later, a thunderous explosion shook the valley. The plant's heavy water system was crippled. German soldiers ran in confusion. But the saboteurs were already gone, disappearing into the icy wilderness before anyone even realized what had happened. What's even more incredible? Not a single shot was fired. No civilian lives were lost. The mission was a perfect execution of intelligence, courage, and elite training. Hitler's scientists were left stunned. Production halted. Years of progress destroyed in a single night. Operation Gunnerside was more than sabotage. It was a message to the world: with enough courage, even the most advanced technology can be defeated by a few brave souls with the will to resist. This wasn't just the moment that slowed Hitler's nuclear ambitions. It was the moment that saved humanity from atomic catastrophe. Aftermath and impact. Did Operation Gunnerside truly stop the Nazi bomb? In the weeks that followed the sabotage, the Nazi high command was in a state of panic. Hitler demanded answers. How had a handful of men crippled one of the most secure facilities in the Reich? How had they slipped through the defenses unnoticed, executed their mission flawlessly, and vanished without a trace? The damage was more than physical, it was psychological. The Nazis tried to restart heavy water production, but they never fully recovered. Subsequent Allied raids, including a bombing of the plant and the sinking of a ferry carrying heavy water barrels, sealed the fate of Hitler's nuclear ambitions. Historians agree, Operation Gunnerside delayed the Nazi atomic program by at least a year, possibly more. And in a war where every moment counted, that delay may have made all the difference. Hitler never came close to building a bomb after that. His resources were redirected, his scientists demoralized, and his plans shattered, but the operation's impact wasn't just military, it was symbolic. It proved that a small, coordinated act of resistance could change the course of global history. It inspired countless others to fight back, no matter the odds. Decades later, the mission is studied in military academies around the world. It's a masterclass in strategy, timing, and courage. A true example of how the right people, with the right tools and training, can defeat even the most powerful war machines. So, did Operation Gunnerside stop Hitler's bomb? The answer is yes, not just by destroying the heavy water, but by destroying the illusion that Nazi science was unstoppable. Legacy of Operation Gunnerside: the science, strategy sacrifice that saved the world. Operation Gunnerside wasn't just a mission, it was a turning point in the history of warfare and resistance. It showcased how technology and defense innovation, when combined with human bravery and intelligence, could change the fate of the world. The mission laid the groundwork for modern special operations. It became a blueprint for how small, elite teams could strike critical targets with minimal force and maximum impact. Today's special forces, from Navy SEALs to SAS, owe part of their doctrine to what was learned in the snowy mountains of Norway, but beyond tactics and science. This operation left behind something more profound: hope. It showed that even in the darkest moments, a few determined individuals could rise above fear, resist tyranny, and protect humanity from destruction. In the world of defense and technology, Operation Gunnerside will always be remembered, not just for what it stopped, but for what it stood for. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel Defense Matrix for more interesting videos.